In America today, there's a double standard. I should point out Mr. Glassman is a conservative. A rule that applies to welfare mothers doesn't apply to politically connected corporations, rich speculators, and irresponsible nations. Over and over again, when powerful people and institutions get in trouble, the government bails them out. End of quote. Why the Federal Reserve has organized a $3.5 billion bailout for billionaires. Why Americans should be worried about the gambling practices of the Wall Street elites. Not when family farmers get in trouble, not when small business people get in trouble, not when poor people get in trouble, but I guess to get government assistance or the help of the feds, you got to be a multi-billionaire gambler. Now let's take a moment to understand what in fact has been happening. What we have here, so far as I can understand, is a man by the name of John Meriwether, who went to some of the largest banks in America and asked for $100 billion in loans to gamble on whether income rates would increase or decrease. Like any gambler you might find in Las Vegas, Mr. Meriwether, after several years of success, I should say, apparently went too far. He gambled himself into a situation where one company lost, his own company lost some $90 billion, and according to the New York Times, this hedge fund's speculation topped $1.2 trillion. Now, what is $1.2 trillion? It's an astronomical sum of money. It is close to what the budget of the United States government is for 1 year. That's what we're talking about. This is one man whose actions and poor judgment could cause economic catastrophe throughout the entire world. One person. Support financial modernization if modernization means more choices for consumers, more competition, greater safety and soundness, stopping unfair bank fees, and protecting consumers and underserved communities. But, Madam Speaker, I believe this legislation in its current form will do more harm than good. It will lead to fewer banks and financial service providers, increased charges and fees for individual consumers and small businesses, diminished credit for rural America, and taxpayer exposure to potential losses should a financial conglomerate fail. It will lead to more mega mergers, a small number of corporations dominating the financial service industry, and further concentration of economic power in this country. It is no secret, Madam Speaker, that bigger financial institutions lead to bigger fees, which totaled more than $18 billion last year. The U.S. Public Interest Research Group and the Federal Reserve Bank have conducted studies and confirmed that bigger banks charge larger fees. And there is no question in my mind that if this bill is passed, that process will be accelerated. This bill is, in fact, however, good for big banks. But the big banks are doing just fine without this bill. Government-insured banks earned a record $18 billion in just the first 3 months of this year, $2.1 billion more than they earned in the same period last year. At a time of increasing bank fees, increasing ATM surcharges, increasing credit card fees, increasing minimum balance requirements, it is time for the Congress to stand up for the consumers.